Since the mid-19th century, anthropologists have been trying to explain the vast differences they saw in human cultures. Successively, various scholars adopted different point of views while trying to explain the reasons behind diversity and variety of cultures. That is what gave rise to the various anthropological theories. In the very beginning, during the late 19th century, prominent scholars gave a theory which basically said that very much like evolution of a species, the culture also passes through several stages of evolution over time. In the beginning, all cultures are simple, and as the time passes, they begin to become more and more complex. The ultimate stage of cultural evolution is civilization. The topmost stage, according to these thinkers, was the particular civilization in which they were living, namely the Victorian era of England and the United States. Edward Tyler in England and Lewis Henry Morgan in the United States were the chief proponents of this theory. Tyler said that all cultures essentially pass through three stages: savagery, barbarism, and finally civilization. This is essentially a single direction of progress in which all cultures pass. So this kind of theory is also called unilinear evolutionism. In the United States, Morgan, a lawyer in Rochester, New York, was hired to represent the neighboring Iroquois Indians in a land grant dispute. His curiosity led him to further study the culture of Iroquois Indians, in which he studied and compared their matrilineal kinship system to the kinship systems of other cultures. This comparative approach is Morgan's one of the most significant contributions to the study of anthropology. 6 years on, Morgan wrote his famous book called Ancient Society, in which he described 6 stages of evolution of the culture. The division into these stages depended upon the type of technology the culture possessed. About the institution of family, Morgan wrote that the earliest grouping of individuals would have been matrilineal, as in a simple society where sexual relations are comparatively free of rules, the paternity would be bound to be unknown, and thus the fathers must have been unimportant. So he postulated the first known groupings would have to be centered around the mothers. Morgan also listed 5 different types of family. He also said that these types were successive in nature, which means in the evolution of family, one type leads to development of the next type and so on. First was the consanguine family, which was based on intermarriage between groups of siblings. For example, a group of brothers marrying a group of sisters. Next, the Punaluan family means the group of sisters marrying each other's husbands. Husbands in the family are not related to each other. Such a family may also be based on a group of brothers marrying each other's wives. Wives in the family not being related to each other. Next, the Syndiasmian family means marriage between single pairs. There were no exclusive cohabitation rights in this type of marriage. Next type, patriarchal family, where one man may take multiple wives. And finally, the monogamian family, where marriage took place between a single pair of man and a woman. First denial of Morgan's theory about family came from Westermarck. He said that the origin of the family is the possessiveness and jealousy of the man, and also the question of inheritance of property, and thus father, not the mother, would be the central figure in the institution of the family. In later time, Briffault went back to the Morganian idea and postulated that the institution of family was centered around the mothers, and matrilineal descent would be the first to develop in the society. Regardless, the newer thought in anthropology has rejected these ideas of family being evolved in this rigid and unilineal manner. Moreover, data has shown that the institution of family has always been central in human society, even amongst the most simple societies such as Aboriginals of Australia and Andamans. Thus, the notion of a rigid phase-wise evolution of family has been considered to be futile and thus rejected. The anthropologists later rejected the theories of Tyler and Morgan, saying that these are excessively simple, generalist, and ethnocentric. Being ethnocentric means that both Tyler and Morgan considered their own culture to be the ultimate zenith of the so-called cultural evolution, and all other cultures being in lower stages of evolution, an obvious mistake which was rightly pointed out and rejected by later anthropologists. However, one cannot deny the significance of their theories as they rejected the divine or biological reasons behind the diversity and variety of cultures. Instead, they said that there are certainly some cultural processes behind the evolution of the culture to what it is today, and these processes can be studied and documented. In this sense, these scholars heralded a new era of inquiry into human culture, and it was the first step towards an evidence-based study in the field of cultural anthropology.